Welcome to Media to the Stars. It's the first episode of Careers in Media, and I've got Dylan with me, my guest, and he's going to talk to us about himself, about careers in media, what he wants to do. This should be a fun podcast with different guests, so hopefully you enjoy. Welcome to Media to the Stars, Dylan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I've just graduated from uni. I did a degree in filmmaking, and I'm interested in filmmaking. I'm interested in storytelling, and I like making music as well. And and yeah, I'm just living this thing we call life.
Yeah. So you work with or at Soundbank. Can you just elaborate on what that is for people who don't know?
Yeah, Soundbank do workshops for people looking to get guidance in pursuing a career in the creative field, and they do all kinds of workshops. They do film and TV workshops. They do music workshops, fashion, everything really, and they bring in really good guests. They have really good facilities and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, honestly, it's just a really amazing opportunity that they give us.
So how did you hear about them first?
Well, I heard about JGA just through I mean honestly just perusing online, and yeah, just seeing what kinds of stuff was out there, and they JGA introduced me to them, and yeah, it's really I'm really glad they did.
Hmm. And so how long have you been with Soundbank for?
Not very long actually. Just a couple of weeks. Um, but no, they're great.
And do you know when you first knew that you wanted to do something related in media at university, or did you know you want to do something with that or music when you were at a younger age or anything?
Uh, Not music, but in 2014, there's this film that came out called Whiplash, and I saw that in the cinema. And when I saw that, I was very inspired to pursue a career in filmmaking. It's kind of funny, like when I was a little kid, you know how like when you're a kid you want to be like an astronaut and a police officer and whatever. I said I wanted to be a film director even though I didn't actually know what that meant. I just thought it meant to like be in charge of making the film, and I kind of looped back onto that when I saw Whiplash, because Whiplash is a really interesting film because it's very stylistic. When you watch it, you can tell that someone's made it and thought about the process of making it. And I don't know, I just saw that and I kind of wanted to be like that. So yeah, I've been kind of obsessed with that ever since, and just storytelling in general. Music was something I kind of stumbled onto during COVID. There's this software called Ableton Live, and you can make music on that. I've just been tinkering away for a few years, just producing music like hip hop, experimental stuff, and something I'm really excited about.
Hmm. If you could produce an album, would you with your music, do you think?
Yeah, I tell myself I want to get something done by the end of this year, but I'm sometimes a bit of a procrastinator, and I have this problem where I want everything to be perfect. So I think that's kind of hindering me a little bit. Yeah, and if I was to put out an album, I'd want it to be mixed as well as it could be. I want it to sound. I want all the instruments to sound very natural, and I want like the choruses to be catchy. I want the lyrics to like make you think, and yeah, it's a big task. I think I'll be able to do it. If not by the end of this year, I think I could make something soon enough. Yeah.
Do you have any ideas what you would call it, your album title, I guess, or what the cover would look like?
I'm into painting sometimes, so I might paint the cover. I quite like quite wild collagey paintings, so I think I'd make something that looks maybe something out of like torn newspaper and paint and like photos, and I don't know what it would be called.
Mm.
I have this thing where I kind of like deviate from different styles, so that the music I make depends on what mood I'm in,
Mm.
and and I get the feeling that an album has to be quite cohesive, like it has to follow a certain kind of stylistic brand,
Mm.
in a way. So yeah, I don't know how to navigate that really. I think I might have to wait until I get back to a certain mood that I was in
Mm.
to be able to have enough songs that sound a certain way to be able to group them into an album, and and have that be like a finished piece, you know.
Mm. So do you ever feel like your music sort of becomes like seasonal, like you'll ever have a certain style in winter or autumn or spring, or is it more just like actually what you're feeling on the day thing?
I think not necessarily seasonal, but definitely like my mood kind of stays the same for a while. So like at the end of my third year of uni, I was feeling very stressed, and for a number of reasons, and so my music was quite abrasive, and and I was doing a lot of like hip hop sort of percussive stuff. But then like now I'm kind of in a period I'm quite content. So a lot of the music I like to make is quite um like Beatlesy or like funky,
Mm.
and and like catchy choruses, sort of like singing about love and stuff like that. And and yeah, so it's an interesting one, that.
So you referenced the Beatles. Are there any other musical artists that you think your songs sort of fit into, or you listen to quite a lot that have inspired you to create certain music?
Not that my music could fit into, but I do have. I mean, there's a lot of music I really really love that I'd wanna make something like that one day. There's a band called Hiatus Coyote, and a lead singer from that called Night Palm. She does a lot of solo stuff, and Snarky Puppy, they're like a jazz group, and they have a lot of really 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 amazing work. Um, and yeah, I mean like hip hop. I love JPEG Mafia. I love Tyler the Creator's amazing, and Anderson .Paak.
Mm.
He's awesome. I mean, yeah, I do listen to the Beatles a lot as well. They're amazing just because they always hit and they're classic. And yeah, the Rolling Stones. I like to take from all over because it's just like you can never run out of amazing music to listen to. Even just one thing I did once was I just searched like I like looked at a map and I like looked at different countries, and I typed up like whatever country it was, so like Zambia or Hungary or whatever, and I typed like top 100 artists in Hungary, and then I just went down the list and I just sort of like downloaded them all and just like looked at like, oh, what's the best album from this person, and then you can just get like a long list and just do a deep dive, and you can like listen to stuff when you're on the train, on the tube or whatever. It's just like so much out there that you wouldn't expect, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider like mixing two disciplines? So you said you were interested in music and filmmaking. So would you ever produce like a music video, do you think?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. That's my goal, I think. I'd like to, I mean, you can mix those two disciplines in that way, but you can also mix them in the other way of like producing music for film, like making a soundtrack. So you could, yeah, I'd love to do both of those things. Um, yeah, I think it's just about knowing enough people, having enough resources to be able to kind of put those plans into action. Um, Yeah, no, but it's definitely the path I want to go down.
Mm.
Because just creatively, there's so much you can do with a music video, and there's so much you can do with a soundtrack. You know, you just have to look online for, you know, hours and hours and hours of inspiration. You can just yeah, you can do anything you want. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah. So, how do you deal with creative burnout when you are either in filmmaking or music or whatever you do? How do you deal with that?
I think I think most of the projects that I've made that that I feel proud of have have I've had some sort of creative burnout, like through the process of making it, especially writing and 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 making music. Just, I mean, I go on long walks a lot. Sometimes, especially when I'm writing, it gets quite depressing, honestly, because I mean, also because it's just like a solitary task writing. So you're just in the room by yourself, just kind of poring over ideas and making sure what you've got is perfect, and just it's quite an obsession, really. It feels often quite like unhealthy. Like when you take it really, really, really seriously, it kind of feels like something you aren't supposed to be doing in a way. And I mean, to tackle that is probably a good idea to just either stop doing it or yeah, just kind of shut off your creative mind for a bit and kind of just take in life in another way. Just kind of chill out a bit. Although if you've got deadlines, like if your piece of work that you're trying to make is for a certain time and you're being asked to do it, it's that's a really tricky one. And you kind of just have to, I mean, what I do is I just suffer through it,
Mm.
which is yeah, I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, that's just how I'm dealing with it right now.
But do you ever find it difficult or easy to know when something's actually done or finished or meets your standards of perfection?
Um, I feel like I would know once it's finished, because it's like when you watch or read or listen to anything. Like if you watch a really, really good movie, or you listen to an amazing song, and you're like, and then it hits you, and then you get inspired from that, and you're like, oh my god, I want to make something like that one day. That feeling of like what that sounds like, I mean, that sounds finished. So like when you're making something and then that spark hits you, like when you're listening back to what you've made, then like I feel like it's quite clear, and you know when that is done. Although, I mean, the question comes into play when it's like, I mean, can your capabilities match up to what you have in mind? So like, if you aren't good enough to be able to make something a certain way yet, like will it ever be finished to that standard? And it might not be if you've not like practiced a lot. So I think you just kind of have to take the hit of like if you've been doing something for so long that you're not having a good time, and you know that, I mean, through all your like future efforts it won't be that much better than what it currently is, then I think that's when you've got to say that it's done.
Mm. So
Yeah.
do you feel like you get that light bulb moment, as it's called, when you finally get the it's done or something just clicks?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because like before I make something, I definitely envision what it should look like or sound like in like quite a lot of detail. And so like when I'm thinking of when I'm writing a film, I usually kind of picture the film in my head and like the pacing of it and what certain things will look like or sound like. And I just kind of go through that over and over again. So once that script is done and I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of does match up. Or once the film is done and it's like, oh, it didn't exactly match up, but it gives me the same feeling that it did, then yeah, then I do get that light bulb moment.
Mm. Right. So you think it's like a combination of like an emotional process, but also like your brain can see what needs to be there. So once the two match up, then you're happy with your work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting because like when you envision it beforehand, it's never going to be the same as like when you actually do it, or like when you're working with other people who have their own ideas of what it would look like. It's always going to turn out to be something different, but the feeling could be the same, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how do you find collaboration when working on, I don't know, music projects, film projects, or yeah, even in your university degree? How did that all work for you?
I think no, I love collaboration a lot. I think if there was no collaboration, then I mean you just got kind of crazy because when you have ideas and you're working on them, they just kind of like bounce about, and you can't really you can't really measure how good you are at something. Like that's kind of for other people to decide. And when you have other people's creative input, because the thing is, when you're working by yourself, it's easy to develop an ego and kind of feel like you are the best at something, and like no one can write this particular story better than you can, or make this piece of music better than you can. But then, I mean, there are so many people out there in the world. There are, I mean, there are countless people that would be able to make your idea better. That, yeah, it's kind of preposterous to think that, um, working with other people wouldn't improve upon your work. And I mean, even it's not even that it would make the work better, but also, I mean, if you've kind of got a creative mind and you've got a creative spirit that kind of has to be like nurtured, if you're that type of person that wants to pursue a creative career and kind of live out your life doing creative things, then I mean, you have to have other people involved because that's your thing. So if there weren't other people involved in that, then you wouldn't have a social life. Like you wouldn't have friends. You wouldn't experience, the best parts about being human. So it's pretty essential. Yeah.
But have you ever found that you can't work with certain personalities, or sometimes collaboration between two people can just be impossible, like a brick wall, and you're not getting through to somebody?
Yeah, yeah. I think you can tell that quite quickly when you meet someone, when you talk to someone, that like things aren't going to work out. Like I mean, I think as creative people, especially, we're quite like clued on to people in general, and just like if that spark would be there. So so it's not like you'd get to know someone and you start talking about ideas, and then like a few months down the line, it's like, oh no, I can't really work too well with this person. You just kind of know.
Mm.
So that does make it easier. Yeah, it's definitely a knack to just kind of like weed out people and like you know who out there could kind of work with you and make something special.
Mm. So what would you say was the best part about your university degree in filmmaking?
It was very hands-on, so we were able to use a lot of kit, and they kind of left us to our own devices. So so we had to write and cast and find the locations for our films, and book out the kit that they had at the store, and work under a deadline. So that definitely, I mean, it was stressful at first, definitely, but that kind of let us like engage through the process ourselves, and because we were doing it in groups, it just I know it felt great to just like learn how to do things with other people who were taking it at the same level as you were. Uh, and definitely, if they had just like coached us every step of the way, then I don't think I would be as confident at it as I am now. Because I mean, going through something yourself and being that independent just lets you get really, really good at those skills.
So, would you recommend a degree in filmmaking to anybody that's looking at media?
Hmm. I've heard a lot of people say that film school isn't that great. I don't think I didn't go to film school. I went to university,
Mm,
um, and so I think there are film schools out there that are really, really, really expensive.
mm,
That only like very privileged people can go to. A lot of people say that, you know, if you want to be a good filmmaker, you can just kind of do it. That you can just pick up a phone and, you know, work with your friends, go to join clubs, join groups. Um, I don't know. I couldn't tell you that if I didn't go to university that I would be as good at it as I am now, because, you know, I've not like been through that path.
mm.
But I suppose the best part about going to university was access to the kit. I mean, you could just like book out whatever you wanted. You could book out like really expensive Canon C500 cameras, you know, like drones if you wanted, like sliders, dollies, gimbals,
Mm.
and just like play around in the studio, just yeah, and do that at your heart's content. And I think that was definitely the best part. Um, but yeah, I think if you don't have the money to do that, there are definitely other paths out there that you could go down to be able to develop your skills.
Mm.
Yeah,
And I was just wondering, did you do media or drama or something like that in secondary school or sixth form?
I did. I did media studies for A levels.
Mm,
It didn't really translate though. It wasn't very similar to filmmaking at all. I mean, there were like a few tasks that we had to do. Like we had to like make our own music video, and that was similar. I just sort of like took archive footage and edited it together, and that was definitely one of my first experiences, you know, making a film.
mm.
Um, but no, I don't think it was the same. I think the thing that was the most different was just like the people. So like when you're doing a filmmaking degree, you're definitely going to be surrounded by people who love film, because filmmaking is so niche, you know, like of all of the educational fields you could pursue. I mean, most people go into, you know, business, psychology, um, economics, you know, like normal stuff. Filmmaking is out there, so you're gonna meet loads of creative people who really want to make films, and yeah, that's definitely different.
Well, it's a call from me. It's a call from my guest.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to Media to the Stars. I hope you enjoy this podcast. And yeah, this is the first one. So I hope you like this new form. Thanks for listening. Bye.